What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's CJ. This is Out of Bounds, and in today's video, we're going to be doing some single stat player props for NBA tonight over on PrizePicks. So if you play on PrizePicks, or maybe you don't play on PrizePicks, maybe betting on sports is legal in your state and you want some prop picks for tonight, well, tune in to today's video because we're going to be doing both points, rebounds, assists, and we're going to do some three-pointers made. So definitely a lot of value in today's video. So if this is your first time to the channel, welcome to Out of Bounds. On this channel, we do single player daily fantasy sports talk. We do player prop talk. Right now, our primary focus is PrizePicks and the NBA season, but we do so much more here. So if you're into that sort of thing, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. We're almost to 800 subscribers, which is fantastic progress and great growth. And it's all because of you. So I appreciate you guys tuning in each day. Now, a little bit of business to talk about. I just wanted to take a moment and to tell you guys that I officially launched my Patreon page yesterday. And I'm pretty excited about it. Now, what I've been doing is some premium content off of YouTube in our Discord where, I'm doing research every day for you guys, looking up stats, trying to find you the best player props, the best fantasy point plays. I put together spreadsheets. So I go above and beyond what I do here on YouTube every day. So if that is something that you're interested in, being a part of a community through Discord where you can chat with other like-minded members like you, if you want access to more information, stuff that'll help you make decisions a lot easier and quicker and hopefully save you a lot of time so you don't have to research yourself. If you want more access to me, questions, comments, concerns, whatever it may be, this is your way to do it through the Patreon channel. So I'm going to leave a link down in the description below to both the Patreon page where you can go and join. It's just $20 a month to help support me as a content creator. Goes a long way. I appreciate you. And then I'll also leave a link to the Discord down below too. Now, the Discord is the community where we go and we chat every single day about all things daily fantasy sports, prize picks, monkey knife fight, single stat player props, you name it. We're doing it. All different sports, any sport you can imagine on PrizePicks. So definitely give it a look. Now that that's out of the way, we're going to start talking about some NBA player news. And the first news that we have here is DeAndre Bembry. Health protocols is not listed on the Raptors Friday injury report, so he should be active. Blazers' Nasir Little remains out with a thumb injury. Sacramento Kings big man Hassan Whiteside is questionable for Friday. Torrey Craig for the Suns questionable as well with a knee injury. PJ Tucker calf out again for the Bucks. Garrett Temple hamstring is out again for the Chicago Bulls on Friday. And let's see what else we got. Ty Jerome ankle remains out for the Thunder. Not big news there. Aleksej Pokusevski, I butchered the guy's name, I'm pretty sure. Health protocols not listed on Friday's injury report, so that means he should be playing. We've been taking some Poku over rebounds and stuff lately, and it's been working out for us. Brandon Clark, personal, he's not on Friday's injury report. And let's see what else we got here. Bobby Portis, health protocols, questionable. Kobe White, neck, questionable. Zach LaVine, ankle, questionable for Friday for the Bulls. Josh Okogie. Yeah, so there you go. You kind of get the feel for everything. That's the main injury news. With that out of the way, let's start talking some of these single stat props. So for points, the first guy I want to take a look at is Jason Tatum, Boston Celtics swingman here. He is at 23.5 points. They're taking on the Houston Rockets tonight. That game tips off at 7:40 p.m. So first website I have up here is numberfire.com. And the reason I use numberfire.com is because they offer free projections for both fantasy points and for single stats. So that kind of helps us out there. So if we click this NBA view all here, you can kind of get an idea of the different games, the totals, the spreads, and things like that. So for Boston, we're looking at 222.5 points for the game total with a spread of 11.5. Now, that is a bit concerning. That is a huge, huge red flag for me in terms of blowout potential. This game looks like it could get away from the Houston Rockets and be a blowout. So if that happens, then I wouldn't expect guys like Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown to play a full run of minutes. They might be limited. They might be cut short. So with that in mind, let's take a look at Jayson Tatum and this 23.5 point prop. Now we go down the list here, you can see that he's projected for 24.3. So 24 or more points, and that gets us paid if we take the over on Jayson Tatum. So far so good in terms of looking like Jayson Tatum might be a good overplay. Now, if we type in his name here, this is NBA.com/players. Do a little search for Jayson Tatum. Boom. His player card pops up, and you can see that for the season, he is scoring the ball at 25.3 points per game, which is quite a bit higher than 23.5. So the over looking like a nice little play here once again. Now, I want to go a bit further. I want to look at his 15 game averages, his 10 game averages, and even his 5 game averages and see what he's been doing in recent games. So I scroll down here, I hit traditional splits. And then now that we have traditional splits up, we can click advanced filters, change the season segment from all games to the last 15 games, and we'll hit run it. And it'll spit out some results at us. And you can see his 15 game point per game average is 25.7. So still above 23.5. Looking good there. We change it from 15, go down to 10, get a more recent sample size. In that 10 game window, he has played in 9 games. And his scoring average goes up to 26 points per game. So far, so good on the over for Jayson Tatum. Now, finally, we're going to look at his last 5 games here and see how he's been doing. And it goes up even more. He's at 27.6 points per game in his last 5 games played. So he's been scoring the ball really, really well. So the biggest concern so far for me is the fact that this game could blow out. Jayson Tatum may not be in there for very long, if at all, in the fourth quarter. Now, the next thing and final thing that we're going to look at here is rotowire.com. Now, if you go to RotoWire, they've got a whole bunch of player props, and they display them real nice and neat for you, side by side. Got DraftKings Sportsbook, FanDuel Sportsbook, BetMGM, PointsBet. And so you could look at a number like Jayson Tatum's 23.5 points on there and see if it's too good to be true, or maybe it's not good enough. We'll find out, though. So we'll type in his name. And you can see they got Tatum right here at 23.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, on this 23.5, you're not really seeing any movement over or under. Pretty much a split there. So we scroll over a little bit. FanDuel 23.5. People are favoring the over so far here. Now, on BetMGM 23.5, they're taking the under more than the over. And then finally on PointsBet, not really seeing any line movement there whatsoever. So all in all, guys, the 23.5 is a number that Jayson Tatum has been smashing in his last few games, but I am concerned that the blowout could get the best of him, and maybe he doesn't get enough minutes to get to the 23.5. So if you're going to play the over on Jayson Tatum 23.5, you have to hope that he's a big reason why, that he's a major factor in why they blow out the Rockets. So there you have it for Tatum. The next player we're going to talk about is the Toronto Raptors guard, forward, whatever you want to label him as, OG Anunoby. He is at 17.5 points. Now, my initial gut reaction was, let's go under on OG Anunoby. 17.5 seems kind of high, especially when you think about Fred VanVleet's in the lineup, Pascal Siakam's in the lineup. But maybe I'm wrong. We're going to look into it right now and figure it out. So do a little search here. If you hit Control F if you're on a computer, or Command F if you're on a Mac, you can do a search for Anunoby and get to his name much, much quicker. And you can see that today's projection, 16.6 points. That puts him under 17.5 by a full point almost, give or take. So with that in mind, we head on over to NBA.com. We type in OG. And there's not too many OGs. There's actually only one OG. So his name comes right up. And we could start looking at some of his stats for the season. So on a per game basis for the season, he's averaging 14.8 points, which puts him, well, almost 3 points under his prop of 17.5 today. So we're going to dig in a little deeper here and see how he's been scoring in his 15, 10, and 5 game averages. So we click 15, we hit run, and on that number, he's played in just 8 games out of his last 15, and he scored the ball at 17.4 points, which is really close to 17.5, but still still under by 0.1. So the under looking like a pretty decent way to go based on that first report. Let's run a 10-game report. Now his scoring average actually has went up from the 15 to 10 game. He's now up to 18.3 points. So it's going in the wrong direction if we're thinking about taking the under on OG Anunoby. But last but not least, we'll look at the last 5 games, and you can see in his last 5 games, man, it keeps going up. It's going in the wrong direction. So if we're looking to take the under here, well, this guy's going up. Meanwhile, we're trying to go down. He's going over. We're trying to go under. His scoring average for the last 5 games, 19.2 points, which is well over 17.5 and well over his season average of just like 14 or whatever it was. So no Kyle Lowry in the lineup. I don't think he's active, so that could be a big thing to consider here with OG Anunoby, whether you're taking the over or the under. Now, finally, we're going to head back to RotoWire. We're going to look up OG, and there we go. DraftKings doesn't have anything up for him in terms of a points prop, but FanDuel does. And at 17.5, people are hammering the under more than they are the over. Now, PointsBet, they got a different prop up. They don't have them at 17.5. They got them at 16.5, which puts them a point under. Now, on that 16.5, people are taking the over on that, which leads me to believe, based on FanDuel and based on PointsBet, that OG Anunoby is going to be around 17 points tonight, based on the way that the juice is flowing here on FanDuel and PointsBet. So there's your breakdown for OG Anunoby and points. The next name that we're going to talk about is going to be Jaylen Brown, and we're going to move over to the assists category. Jaylen Brown is at 3 assists. At first glance, like the over on 3 assists. I think he could pull off 4 assists. How about you? We're going to find out. Let's go take a look at Jaylen Brown and see where they've got him set up today on Number Fire in terms of assists. So sort here, assist column. And I just had him. There he is. So they got him projected at 4 assists, which is a whole assist over 3. So 4 or more assists, if we're taking the over, we're going to get paid. So I'm liking the way that the over's looking at first glance here. But we're not going to stop at first glance. We're going to go a step further, as we usually do. We're going to type in Jaylen Brown's name, and up he comes here on the NBA.com player page. And you can see for the season, his assist number is 3.7. So obviously you can't have 3.7 assists. You're either going to have 3 or you're either going to have 4. Now, most of the time, it looks like he's leaning more toward the 4, which is what we want. We like to see that. So liking the over again here based on the season averages, but we're not going to stop there. No, not in this video. I wouldn't be who I am if I just gave up with that little bit of information. So we're going to take it a step further, guys. We're going to change the game segment to 15 instead of full season. And we're going to look and see how he's been dishing the ball out in his last 15 games. So you can see for his last 15 games, his assist number is right at 3. So if he were to just get 3 assists, that would be a push. Now, pushes do pay out. It's not a loss, but they don't pay out as much. We don't want pushes. We would like for him to go over. We don't play for pushes. We play for wins. Now, let's look at his last 10 games and see how that's going. 3 assists, once again, is the magic number for Jaylen Brown. We can't escape 3. We need him to go over 3. Let's see if he does in his last 5 games. His average in his last 5 games, 1.3. Get out of here. You're telling me that his assists dropped all the way down to 1.3 in his last 5 games. He played in 4 games out of that 5-game window. Wow. Not looking good here. Not looking good. I'm not feeling too confident. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to go over to RotoWire and we're going to type in Jaylen Brown's name and get a feel for how the different sports betting sites feel about Jaylen Brown and this number of 3 assists. Well, it looks like DraftKings doesn't have him up at 3 assists. They've got him up at 2.5. On the 2.5, people are taking the over there, and that is a juicy play there if you're able to bet on these sports betting sites. But if you're like me and you live in Florida and you can't, well, you got to stick to PrizePicks. And on PrizePicks at 3 and this prop at 2.5, it looks like it's lining up or setting up for a 3 assist type of night for Jaylen Brown, which is a push. Now, FanDuel, they got him at 2.5 as well. People are smashing the over, and I can't blame them. 2.5 is not enough. I think he does go over 2.5. And finally, BetMGM, they're smashing the over there as well. So looking like the over on 2.5 is the way to go, which sets him up for 3, maybe even 4 assists. So if I'm taking Jaylen Brown in this assist prop, I'm taking Jaylen Brown over 3 assists, hoping he gets 4 or more assists, but settling for the push. Sometimes you just have to settle for the push. But with that in mind, we can talk the next guy, which is going to be Julius Randle, the New York Knicks big man. He is projected at 5.5 assists. Now, 5.5 assists, I think that might be a little too rich. I think he might go for 5 assists or less. So let's take a look. Maybe I'm wrong, but we won't know until we go and do some research. So we type in Julius Randle, and you can see that tonight's projection, he is actually right on the money at 5.5 assists. So PrizePicks thinks he's at 5.5 assists. Number Fire and their projection team, they think he's at 5.5 assists. We know that 5.5 assists isn't possible. He's either going to go for 5 or he's going to go for 6. I'm hoping he goes for 5, but let's look at how he's been performing here in the assist category in his last few games. And we type his name in there in the little search function, and you can see that 5.8 assists has been his average for the season, meaning he's gone more often than not to 6 assists than he has to 5 assists. So we click the stats link. Excuse me. And we go and click traditional splits, change the filter from season segment from all games to 15 games. This is stuff you guys can do on your own if you have time. If not, that's why I do these videos. That's why I have the Patreon set up, so that it'll save you time. You don't have to go do all this stuff. I'll do it for you. Shoot. I like doing this. In his last 15 games, you can see his assists are at 6.5, which puts them well over 5.5. If we look at his 10-game averages, his assists are at 6.8, which is still more than 5.5. And then finally, we'll look at his 5-game averages here. And in his 5-game averages, his assists are all the way down to 3.8. So he hasn't been getting as many assists lately in his last 5 games, playing in 4 out of 5 possible games. So there you have it for Julius Randle and his assist numbers. Now, we're going to take a look at RotoWire and see if people are betting the over or the under on his assist prop. DraftKings doesn't have an assist prop up for Randle. Neither does PointsBet. In fact, just FanDuel and BetMGM have assist props up. Now, FanDuel, they got him at 5.5 assists, just like PrizePicks. And on that, you're seeing a slight edge to the under here. And then on BetMGM at 5.5, a lot more action on the under. A huge number here, minus 154 on the 5.5 assists. So they think he's going to go for 5 or less dimes. So that gives me a lot of confidence here, playing Julius Randle at 5.5 assists and taking the under on that prop. So you should feel pretty good about it. It's looking nice. Now, the next guy we're going to talk about is Pascal Siakam, Toronto Raptors forward. Now, we're looking at rebounds for Siakam today. So we're going to change this over to rebounds. And he's at 9 boards, which seems awfully high to me personally. So at 9 rebounds, I'm looking to take the under here on Siakam. So let's take a look. Let's find him over here on Number Fire. That's usually where we like to start things off. And I don't see his name. Oh, there he is. There he is. Well, man, he's quite a bit lower than 9 rebounds. So yeah, at 7.3 rebounds, I'm definitely liking the under on 9 rebounds so far. That's a huge difference. That's the kind of edge that we look for when we do stuff like this. All right, we're going to type his name in here and see how he's been rebounding the basketball in his last 15, 10, and 5 games. And you can see for the season, he averages 7.4 rebounds, which is, again, kind of puzzling why he's so high up at 9. That just seems way too much. Look at his other stats here. Dig into the traditional splits. Go to advanced filters. Change it from all games to 15 games, just the last 15. And in his last 15 games, his rebound total or average is at 7. So quite a bit under 9. That's actually 2 boards less than 9. Now I'm going to click his 10-game average. And we look at the 10-game average. He's still at 7 rebounds, so no change. And then finally, his 5-game average, his rebounds actually go up by 1 rebound to 8 boards. but still 8 is less than 9. And we're looking to take the under here on Pascal Siakam. And so far, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't. I like taking the under on Pascal Siakam here. Now let's see if the other sports betting sites, if they agree with taking Siakam over or under on his rebound prop. Now you don't see a lot of sites with a rebound prop up for Siakam right now, but what I can tell you is on FanDuel, they've got him at 8.5 boards, and people are taking the under on 8.5, meaning they think he's going to land on 8. So yeah, I think the under on 9 is really looking good here. Now PointsBet, they've got him at 8.5 boards as well. The under looking like the way to go. So far, guys, I got to be honest, in this entire video, Pascal Siakam under 9 rebounds is probably looking like my favorite play so far. I might even call him a lock. I usually don't say that because nothing's really a lock or a guarantee in the world of sports betting, daily fantasy sports. But in this case, he's looking like a rock solid play. How about that? That's fair. All right, on Luka Doncic, I've got him at 7.5 rebounds on PrizePicks. Now, I am looking to take the over potentially here on Luka Doncic. He's kind of been a wild card. He has been up, he has been down this season. He has been volatile in both points and rebounds and assists and everything. It's been a hard guy to trust in terms of fantasy points as well. I mean, just all over the place, across the board. All right, so I've got him at 7.5 rebounds. We're going to take a look at Luka Doncic here and see where they've got him projected. So they got him at 8.2 boards, which puts him slightly over the 7.5. I like the number 8 because if we take him at 7.5, when we take the over, we'll need him to get 8 rebounds or more, right? So that's what we're looking for. So we'll head on over to NBA.com. Type in Mr. Doncic's name here. And you can see that his average rebounds per game for the season are at 8.1. Perfect. That looks good. Let's click his stats and see more on Luka Doncic here. Change this to 15 games. If I can get my click accuracy right. All right, so on his last 15 games, you can see he's been rebounding the ball at 7.3 rebounds per game. So he played in 11 games in that 15-game window. 7.3 rebounds is not enough to go over 7.5. So that's not looking very promising. Let's check out his 10-game average. In that 10-game window, he plays in 8 games. His rebounding average is just 6.5. It's actually going down. So if we're looking to take the over and his rebounds are trending down, yikes, not looking very good. So let's change it from 10 to 5. And boy, it just really falls off a cliff. He's down to 5 rebounds per game. So he's not rebounding the basketball as well as he has been for the entirety of the season. His averages from 15 games to 10 games, down to 5 games, has slowly but surely went down the gutter, down the drain. So I'm not feeling great about Luka Doncic going over 7.5 rebounds right now. In fact, I would be leaning toward the under right now based on recent game logs and performances. But we're going to look at his prop on the various sites here. You can see on DraftKings, 7.5, not really seeing any action over or under there. FanDuel, people are leaning toward the under more than the over, and I think I'm on board with that based on the things that I'm seeing. BetMGM, they've got him at 7.5 boards. People, again, are taking the under versus the over. And finally, PointsBet at 7.5, dead even, not really seeing any action, strongly over or strongly under. So Luka Doncic, I came into this video wanting to take the over. I flip-flopped. I'm more on the under now on Luka Doncic in these rebounds than the over. All right, the last 2 props that we're going to talk about are both 3-pointers made props. So let's get into that. We've got Kemba Walker, Boston Celtics guard. He's at 2.5 3-pointers made. I've got him going under 2.5, so I need him to make just 2 3-pointers and then hang it up for the night. Let's see if Kemba Walker has been shooting the basketball well from the 3-point line, or if it's been a struggle for him. We'll figure it out right now. So we type in his name just like we do everyone else. Now, unfortunately, NumberFire, they don't have any 3-point props available, or 3-point projections, I should say, available on their projection sheet. So we got to do things, kind of kick it old school here and look at things a little bit more manually, dare I say. So we'll do what we've done for the other guys and those other props here. And the first thing we look at is the season averages. So for the season, he attempts 8.1 3-pointers a game, which is pretty high. I mean, that's a lot of attempts. Now, on those 8.1 attempts, he makes 2.8 of them. So almost 3. More often than not, he's hitting 3 than he is hitting 2. So, yeah, the under on 2.5, not looking good based on just season averages. But we don't stop at season averages. We got to look at more recent game data, get more information on how Kemba Walker's been doing in his more recent games. So, in his last 15, his attempts are at 8.2, and he is converted on 2.8, and that's in a 12-game span there. So, still not looking good for the under. I need something that's going to make me feel a little better about taking the under on Kemba Walker, because right now I should be taking the over, and I'm not. For the 10-game averages, he is 8.4, and his makes go to 2.7. So his attempts are up a little bit, but his makes are down a little bit, but not enough to like make a huge difference here. And then finally, the last 5 games for Kemba, Cardiac Walker, or Cardiac Kemba, whatever they call him, Cardi B. His attempts are actually up to 9.3 in his last 5 games, guys. So they're going in the wrong direction if we're wanting to take the under here. And then in those 9.3 attempts per game, he's making 3 per game. 3 per game, which hurts us if we're taking the under on 2.5. So the only thing that I would say about this prop, and what gives me a little glimmer of hope that maybe the under on Kemba Walker's the way to go, is the fact that this game could blow out. Boston is an 11.5 point favorite. So if he doesn't play in the fourth quarter, late third quarter, then maybe he doesn't get 3 or more 3-pointers made. But finally, we're going to take a look at the various sports betting sites here. We're going to type in Kemba Walker's name. And you can see that at 2.5 3-pointers, DraftKings Sportsbook, they are taking the under on Kemba Walker on 2.5 3-pointers made. Now on FanDuel, same thing. Actually, more people are taking the under on FanDuel than on DraftKings, so the under looking like the way to go. And last but not least, BetMGM, people are hammering the under there as well. So the 3 sites that we do have props for Kemba Walker and his 2.5 3-pointer made prop, people are all betting the under there. So, you know, that plays into my favor, but his recent game logs do not, his recent averages do not look good. This is one I'm a little more shaky about. I don't feel so super confident about it, guys. But a lot of the times you can roll with Vegas, and they typically are pretty good. So the last guy we're going to talk about is Josh Richardson, the swingman for the Dallas Mavericks. They're taking on the New York Knicks at 7:40 p.m. tonight. They got Josh Richardson at 1.5 3-pointers made. Another situation where I'm leaning toward the under. Let's see if there's any validation to that number. So we'll head back to NBA.com. We could type in J-Rich. Not Jason Richardson, but Josh Richardson. For all you old heads out there, you probably remember Jason Richardson, what a great player he was. Former Magic player, and he had some pretty good seasons with us. But I digress. So let's look at Josh Richardson here. We're going to take a look at his stats. Click on the team splits. And you can see that for the season, he is attempting just under 5 3-pointers per game. And on those 5 3-point attempts, he's at 1.6 3-pointers made. So more often than not, he is leaning more toward the 2 3-pointers made than he is 1. So again, not looking great on the first set of averages, but we don't stop at season averages. We're going to look at the 15-game averages as well. And in 15 games, attempting 4.5 3-pointers, making 1.6. So he's still making more than 1.5 per game on average. If we look at the 10-game averages here, his attempts are at 3.8, and he's exactly at 1.5. Now we know, of course, you can't make a half of a 3-pointer. You're either making 1 or you're making 2. But he has split the difference there in the last 10 games that he's played. And then finally, in his last 5, Mr. Richardson, 4 threes attempted. His average for 3-pointers made is under 1.5 now. So it's going down. It's actually trending in the right direction for us. So we just have to hope that he doesn't make 2. We just need him to make 1 and we'll be A-okay. So the next thing and final thing that we're going to look at, and then we'll wrap this video up, is his 3-point prop on the various sports betting sites. So if we type him in there, boom, Josh Richardson comes right up. DraftKings Sportsbook, 1.5 3-pointers. People are taking the under. He's at a minus 127. On FanDuel, an even bigger under there. They are favoriting the under at 142. So they love the under on 1.5 on FanDuel. And then finally, PointsBet, they've got him at 1.5. And people are also hammering the under there. So I'm going to stick to my guns and say Josh Richardson, with the way that his averages are starting to trend down, with the way that the Vegas juice is rolling in, it looks like the under on 1.5 3-pointers for Josh Richardson is going to be the way to go. But you guys let me know what you think. Are there any of these players and their single stat props that stand out to you, and why? Drop a comment down in the comment section below. And again, guys, I appreciate all your support. Please go check out the Patreon page. I'm going to leave a link down in the description below to that, to the Discord where you can join that. Take a look. You guys let me know, is there something that I'm not doing that you would like me to do? I'm all ears. I'm doing all this stuff for you guys. You guys are part of the community when you join the Patreon. So whatever you want to see, whatever you need out of me, I'm doing it for you. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This is CJ for Out of Bounds. And until the next one, guys, good luck tonight over on PrizePicks or your very favorite sports betting site. Let's win some money. Peace.